Okay, thank you. So thank all of you for coming once again for our, hopefully it can be our last meeting for the budget. Um, so everybody has the new numbers in front of them. So you have, thank you, Nick, for all of your work. He literally was right down to the wire in pulling everything together. So everybody just got their Excel version of the budget. I go over the basics and over the overview. We said yesterday that really we have pulled, well, we said yesterday that we pulled back. Well, the department heads did a fantastic job. Um, and we're great in that we pull back their discretionary, theoretically discretionary thing where you might be able to adjust a category or another, like office supplies or something that you might have to work with. You can work with the number a little bit. So everything that was not a fixed mandated increase is staying at the 2024 level. So all those expenses and all the parts of the budget are back to 2024 level, which means there are no increases in that. But the fixed increases are the ones, of course, are the ones that are hurting us. But we have a plan, and I think we're going to be fine for this year. And then we're going to talk about some issues and ways that we're going to look at it for next year. But every municipality, as we said before, are dealing with the same issues of pension payments and healthcare payments that are just double digits and extremely high, and we all have to figure out how to pay for it. But the total overall number that we were increasing as of yesterday was 2.8 million. The actual numbers in the tax levy have not changed for today. Scott, Nick did his final consultation with Scott. Scott pulled back some of his categories, but only about, I believe, about 800,000 of his budget counts towards our tax levy. And those are not changeable. He went over it. He did a great job. All of our department heads did an incredible job going over their budgets and helping us in this process. But Scott did it again today, and he pulled back a lot of categories. So the overall budget increase number is less than it was, most of which does not get included in our tax levy, but he brought it back another to 300 plus $1,000 off of his increase. And once again, highway is a separate taxing district, water and sewer is a separate taxing district, and even though they get their sources of income separately, they all count towards our 2% tax cap. So we'll start with the general numbers for yesterday. As of yesterday, we were looking at an increase. We were missing the 2% tax cap by 703,120. We were over the tax cap. So Debbie and Nick sat down with I had another meeting. I couldn't sit in on the meeting. Sat down, and so I'm sorry. I apologize. Don't. I would joke, but I won't do that publicly. So they all sat down and buckled down with one of our consultants who deals with our health insurance policies to go over everything in it to make sure that we understand, and also make sure that we're doing everything appropriately. And so what they found is, and that is one of the costs. The Medicare cost is the one that's, $300,000 up from last year. So that is part of healthcare, and that is part of our self-insurance healthcare program. And so because of that is one component of it. And so we have a very healthy, thankfully, fund balance in the health insurance program of 2.6 million. And what they found out today, thankfully, is that that number that we're seeing in reality right now is actually they're awaiting payment from a stop loss insurance. So what they did was they proposed, and I support doing this. So Nick, we worked the numbers based on the new proposal for everybody. So Nick was pulling 150,000 out of the the healthcare reserves only for healthcare coverage, nothing else. We're not allowed to do that. We would never do that. But to pay for the healthcare costs, what we're doing is we're upping that to 550,000, correct? And so that's an additional, hold on, let me get the numbers in front of me. So that is an additional 400,000. Now, that being said, is a very temporary thing. First of all, the fund now is at 2.6 million. It only has to be at 1.5, but it's always good to have more money in the bank to feel more secure, because with self-insurance, we want to make sure that we can take care of our employees and pay all our bills, even if they're unexpected. So we want to keep that as secure as possible. But in doing so, in the discussion with Doug today, they found out that we are awaiting payments of $530,000 from one of the insurances from the program. I think it's 530. So it is almost going to be replaced. So we're pulling from it temporarily. We're using those funds right now because they're in hand. I mean, we're not tapping into anything we can't tap into anyway, but they're actually going to be replaced. So that's going to be pretty much maintained, more or less, just a little bit, slight bit down, but a very, very healthy fund. So that's a very temporary thing, but what it will bring is it is bringing a large chart of that 700, and I think it was up to like $712,000 we were looking for. And that is over the 2% cap. So the 550 is going to come from the health insurance. We also noticed that the highway superintendent, that the funds that he had authorized to be pulled from his reserves were not, the full amount was not pulled. So he had, what was being pulled was $159,000+. He had authorized 200,000. And in doing so, we increased that amount. And that balances again, all this counts for the 2% cap. So that is now up to 200,000. That's an additional 40,000. And then we are going to pay for the balance, which is about, of the just over 700,000 that we are above the cap, pull out of fund balance from the general fund. Now, that also is a very healthy fund. In the general funds, we should have a minimum of 1.8 million. It's between 10 and 15%. 10% would be about 1.8 million. We're projected to have at the end of the year 3.2 million. And so in utilizing about $272,000 from that fund, we'll be back down to 2.9, but that's still a very healthy fund. That is way over what we're required to have. And it's not too high. The controllers give us, between 10 and 15%. So it's right within that thing, but it is a very healthy, secure balance. So that way we can fund it, get down to 2%. And if you look at the new charts that Nick just provided, he pulled the new numbers. If it's okay with everybody here, and we all authorize those fund balances to be utilized, as we said, and if you don't have any other issues about the particulars of the budget, so the tax levy that we had to meet was $10,065,007. And so this tax levy is, I'm sorry, that is our tax levy, that the new tax levy, $10,065,007. And we will be $81,850 under the tax cap. Now that is above, it still is an increase for residents, but I think it is the minimal increase that we can possibly manage. And quite honestly, I think our department has did an amazing job. And they're all looking at how we can fund things better for the future. We're going to be reconsidering, looking at ways that we can ensure that we don't hit with that we manage the problematic sections, and the fixed increases, which is the pensions, and the healthcare, and we make a plan going forward. What can we do to number one, hopefully prevent the same issues going forward, and secondly, if they do occur, to ensure that we have a plan to fund them better. So once again, I to credit to all our department heads, but especially many of them are thinking outside the box. Two departments, at the clerk's office, thanks to Deborah and Andrea, they are readjusting their fees in terms of dog control. Our code departments increase their fees, but please understand that they're very reasonable increases for any resident who might apply for something, and they have not been increased in a very, very long time. And so it will buffer it a little bit. It is not a whole plan. We have to look at everything, and we will be doing that this year. But for now, I think this is minimally impactful. It's solid financially. It is not going into our debt reserves. I mean, our fund balances, our reserves, any more than absolutely necessary. And I think that we really are looking at being as cost efficient going forward as possible. Deborah is thinking outside the box and talking and looking into how to make our postage bulk rate so that will save us money. Patrick is looking about what we can do in terms of sponsorships from businesses to help to subsidize all of the great stuff that his department does. We want to maintain everything for our residents, but the costs are just increasing astronomically, and so we need a plan on how to manage it better going forward. But I think this is a solid plan, very solid in terms of our fund balances, our reserves, and protects our employees and their health benefits and their pensions, and also protects our residents from as much as possible from the impact of these increased costs. I think this is a very solid plan. So what do you think?
So it looks like from the last sheet we had to the sheet we had last time, a little over 700,000 over the tax cap. Now we're looking at just under 82,000 over the tax cap, 2% tax cap. So I don't know if you ran this number, Nick, but it looks like where we're at now, the 81,850 over the tax cap is approximately 2.4 something percent, something like that.
I didn't notice that's over the
So,
tax cap.
so we went over the two, but not by much. And I think that's a great achievement for
We
the
can also,
departments and the town.
why do we not reconsider the fund balance? We're supposed to bring it just under the 2%.
That was, that's a plan,
I'm sorry?
the plan, because we're still 81,000 too big to go in the cap. We're gonna use general fund balance to cover that.
No, yeah, so we're bringing it under, okay, it
Okay.
doesn't reflect it here. You didn't do that change.
So
Okay.
the numbers we have tonight show this, but Nick's going to
Mhm.
use general fund money to even bring it down further
Mhm.
and get us under that
Yeah, we're
2%
gonna be
cap.
just under the 2%,
Very good.
but okay.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, how much you bring in from the general fund?
Yeah, that's awesome.
The last,
How much you bring in from the fund? Are you bringing this number, the 81,850, or you bringing more than?
So right now, as it stands, we're using 81,850 from general fund balance. And we're also using 175,000.
so the total, I believe, is about 272 from fund balance, general fund balance. Yeah, just different ways of utilizing the funds, but general fund balance is approximately, I might be, 1,000 off or something, but it's gonna match. So 272. But that is a good question. Why yours so we're just gonna, so you didn't take the second part of fund balance out, and that's why it's calculated over the tax cap. Okay, so we'll adjust that. So it's gonna end up being under, it's gonna be approximately 272,000 from the general fund. And just to recap, so we're pulling from the health insurance, we're pulling 550,000. However, that is gonna be quickly replaced by a payment from one of our insurance companies for about 530. So we're almost, it's gonna be $20,000 from the health insurance. And that's only being utilized for our health insurance coverage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then 40,000 additional, our highway superintendent authorized from his fund balance. So we're pulling the same 200,000 that he authorized. So we just went up to what he said was okay. And then the last part is the remainder, and that's coming from Not to complicate it too much, it's from different parts, but it is all from fund balance. It's approximately 272,000. And it's gonna meet our number and it's gonna be right under the cap.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I
So-
misread that,
so when
but
you're
it's
done-
definitely gonna be under the cap.
The preliminary budget will be under the 2%.
Yes,
Yes.
and our fund balances are all gonna be, very
Very
solid,
healthy.
very
Yes.
solid.
We're-
Way above the minimum for sure. And right in there, the ballpark of the recommended.
So we're not
So-
taking any risks on this stuff.
No,
We're good to go.
it's just because, sorry, it's just a cold. That's
Oh,
all.
okay.
Um, but going forward, once again, if we are looking and Debbie and we're going to be meeting with Doug and Nick, and we have to look at the reality of these costs going forward. And once again, we want to take care of our employees and we will take care of our employees, but we have to make sure that we can pay for everything. And if these are these huge increases, we have to make these solid plans, but all our department heads are thinking outside the box. They are all working within framework and they all said that they could make it work this year on the 2024 numbers for the stuff that the non-fixed costs, which are still costs. So it's toner, it's paper, it's general office supplies. It is also anywhere from software specific for our town attorney to software specific for our clerk's office to our assessor's office software. And those are things that are going up too. And everybody's going to manage for this year, but they're doing a great job and we really appreciate everything. But we need to make sure that we take care of them too in this whole process going forward. So it's going to be a conversation, but our department heads are all on board. And the numbers are literally right there. We're not making it up. And we all have to deal with it and understand that every one of these dollars is a taxpayer dollar and we are accountable for it. So we will try to be as, we will be 100% accountable, but we will look at how we can make it as cost efficient as possible, what we can change and what we can't. But we're going to manage and make a plan. Okay, so we'll good. So we're just going to rework those last numbers. So we had that third meeting scheduled for tomorrow, and I don't think that we need it, but I think that everybody has to get their emails with the final numbers. They go unofficially to the state. The budget goes officially to the state on Thursday. So tomorrow is literally line by line, all eyes on day. So Jessica is going to help us, right? Nick's going to go over it again. I'm going to go through every line of the budget again. Jessica's going to go over the debt payments and double check. We have companies that give us reports and tell us what the bonds and the band payments, and those are all debt payments. All those, what those numbers have to be. So all of this is going to be triple checked all day tomorrow to make sure that there are no errors, and all lines are included, and they're all accurate. And then we should be, we're going to see, by the end of the day, we will send out everything to every board member. So if there's any issues or questions from any board members, we can deal with it individually, or you can stop by, you can work on it together, or answer anything together. And then we should be able to submit on Thursday. Then once it goes to that, it gets publicized and the public hearing is on the 6th. And public hearing is when the public has the opportunity to come forward, question it, ask questions. Some department heads have said that they are planning to attend. So if they want to, but we have gone over all the budgets for quite a while now. So we will have as many answers in place for the public as possible. But I think this is literally the best that we could do. Okay. Almost. Just that last entry.
Now, are you gonna do the update the PowerPoint from last year to this year? Yeah.
Okay. So with all that, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. And second it. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. You can't vote remotely. Thank you. Thank you, though.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my bad.
But thank you. Thank you for following. I did not announce you were following remotely, so. Um, so thank you. And, okay, so I guess we're all good. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. And thank you for